All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here talking real music in real time for some real people out there just like you right there and just like me right here. Okay, so I got the t-shirt, as you can see, it's very bright. The CD, a little more subdued. This band from West Texas known as Flatland Calvary, been listening to their music all summer long. And just really good. This one's called Countryland. Yeah, if you don't like country, you probably won't get into this because it's authentic. I like to call it hillbilly music or traditional country or alternative country mixed with traditional country. And there's some rock and roll themes in there as well, some reference points, but really great stuff. Okay, so there you have it. If you don't like it, I get it. Most of the stuff I talk about is about melodic rock, and every so often I do a country thing and people are thrown for a loop. Speaking of being thrown for a loop, holy crap, Batman, Paul McCartney all in when it comes to the war in Ukraine. Now, of course, the spin is going to be a little bit different. You see, Paul McCartney, throughout his career, has been a peace activist, right? Same with Ringo Starr. John Lennon, let's give peace a chance. George Harrison, I think, a little bit more thoughtful than the rest of his bandmates, but that's another video altogether. Paul McCartney, the Rolling Stones, and Slash are among a variety of famous musicians who have recently performed live with one of a series of Ukraine-themed Gibson Les Paul electric guitars that will be auctioned off this November to raise money for Ukrainian relief. Now, the premise is, right, now, okay, so people think this is a humanitarian crisis, which in some ways it is. And they think that sending money to the people of Ukraine while the rest of the world suffers, including the United States, including Germany, right? So we're doing all of this posturing. We're going to help out Ukraine. Zelensky is Winston Churchill, yada, yada. Not only do you get only one side of the story, but you get one distorted side of the story. The picture I'm looking at shows McCartney with this blue and yellow guitar. And those are, of course, the colors of Ukraine. And they're going to auction off these beautiful musical instruments for, quote unquote, this amazing good cause. Now, nobody ever talked about, say, negotiating, right, with Russia. This is what the article says. The guitars and autograph books will be up for bid as part of the latest installment of the Julian's Auctions Icons and Idols rock and roll sale, scheduled to take place at the Hard Rock Cafe in New York City from November 11th through the 13th. All of the money raised by the auction of the Ukraine-themed guitars will be donated to humanitarian relief for the Ukrainian people in the wake of Russia's invasion, and to help the country rebuild after the conflict ends. So nation building. That's something the United States has been doing for how long? I don't know, last 50 years or so. But nobody's going to look at it that way. Everybody's going to say, oh, what a great cause. Now, again, the question is, who gets this money? The people who really need relief in Ukraine, I mean, the everyday average citizen in Ukraine, they could get relief if this war stopped. That's how they could get relief. How do you get humanitarian relief into an area that is currently, in this heavy duty conflict where you've got like a nuclear power plant now under siege over there? And apparently the Ukrainians are attacking their own nuclear power plant to make it look like Russia is doing it. And of course, the Western media, they're just gonna blow this off. They don't care what's really going on over there. They just want an endless war. And so McCartney and all these other musicians, who are doing it for a good cause. This is what you always hear. Don't really know. They can't really know. The only one who had a clue was Roger Waters, right? He had a clue and he said so. And then a firestorm erupts as Roger Waters. I don't agree with everything Roger Waters says, but he was 100% correct on what's happened, where everybody basically encroached upon this country. And then I'm talking about Russia, and then the eastern part of Ukraine was under siege for 8 years, right, by the western part of Ukraine that didn't like all of those ethnic Russians who were basically living in what's known as the Donbass region. Now, this is what Paul McCartney says. I'm happy to auction this beautiful guitar of mine to benefit the people, the fine people of Ukraine, says McCartney. All of them are fine people in Ukraine. All of them, the Azov battalion, they're fine people. Yeah, no, that's not true, Paul. Hopefully it will help them through this aggressive Russian invasion. Well, here's the thing. Again, nobody wanted to negotiate, and you don't even hear any talks. Nobody is doing diplomacy. In fact, it's not on the table. It was on the table for the first month or so, but, the United States and other countries, the UK and the so-called NATO countries, right, are all donating or spending tons of their own money, sending weapons to the front lines to help the Ukrainians defeat the Russians. And you hear all the time that, hey, this thing is really, up for grabs, and Ukraine is really doing a great job. And you got the actor Zelensky out there pleading all the time for more money and resources. He was in like GQ magazine or something with his wife recently. Yeah, that sounds like a country under siege. Yeah, and I'm not saying it's not under siege, but it's just bizarre. You're fighting a war. Why don't you focus on your own people? Focus on diplomacy and ending it, because I think Russia had a couple of easy to manage requests, right? Easy. They wanted to denazify and they wanted to demilitarize certain portions of this country that, again, were starting to maybe get a little too close to the Russian border. Keep in mind, if, say China or another country decided to set up a military base, like 100 miles from the U.S. border in Mexico, people here would go ballistic. They would go crazy. And maybe they have a right to go crazy, because it kind of seems like, hey, why is China in our backyard setting up all of this military equipment and looking as though they're going to attack us, even if they're not going to attack us? I mean, it looks a little scary, even though supposedly it's innocent, right? Because that's all you ever hear. So anyway, rather than trying to meet those demands, everybody is all in on supporting Ukraine by sending them billions of our taxpayer dollars and billions more in weapons. I mean, we're approving this all the time. And by the way, Congress is supposed to declare war. We are supposed to have a vote before we start to engage in a conflict with anybody. And technically, our troops aren't on the ground. Okay, whatever. We train these troops. Other countries that are part of the NATO alliance are training these troops. I know this is somewhat dry and not music related, but this just bothers the crap out of me. Paul McCartney, right? The Pipes of Peace guy. Remember McCartney, Pipes of Peace? I guess it's peace through sending money to continue an endless war. I don't know how that really works, but, Paul McCartney, like Roger Waters, he should take a cue from his fellow countryman, Roger Waters, and say, you know what? We need to negotiate. We need diplomacy. We need to sit these people down, see if we can meet the demands that Russia has. And I think they're fairly legitimate. and go from there, right? But nope. Here's what Slash had to say, the brilliant foreign policy expert Slash from Guns N' Roses. It is an honor to represent the brave, sovereign state of Ukraine. I'm proud to support them during this conflict. Yeah, well, yeah, on paper, the sovereign state idea is cool and it's interesting. The only problem with that is they were attacking the other side of their sovereign state for 8+ years. And then the rest of the world began to essentially surround the Russian border on all sides. And you know what, people, I think Russia, knowing how they behaved during World War II and how many people that their country lost during World War II, I think they might be a little hypersensitive to things like the Azov battalion. I'm just throwing that out there, right? Nobody else seems to care, right? It doesn't seem to be a big deal here in the United States that we're actually sending money to arm the Azov battalion so they can fight against the Russians. It doesn't make any sense. But guess what? Most things today in this world don't make sense, and you just kind of shrug your shoulders and go, hey, it's opposite day again. It's opposite day. We've got musicians who are auctioning off their musical instruments to help Vladimir Zelensky and to help this never-ending war continue. Now, I'm not sure how much money is going to be raised here. It's going to be a drop in the bucket because we can just print the money, right? The United States, we just print the money and we give it away. And then your money doesn't buy as much. Inflation goes through the roof. Gas prices continue to be high, even though they've come down, and people are all excited that, you know, was almost $5 a gallon. Now it's almost $4 a gallon. Everybody is so excited about that, right? It's great news. You know, it is. It's great news, but it's also conditioning. You know, now we're used to that $4.50, $5 a gallon. We're used to that now. So, you know, the $3.50 doesn't seem bad, right? We'll just take it, you know, and still not be able to do half the things we used to do and still pay too much at the grocery store. And yes, of course, we need to keep funding the war in Ukraine. There's a war going on here in the United States right now, I can tell you that. And it's warring factions of people who don't agree on things. I believe we need a national divorce. That's what I think. I think we need a national divorce. And, you know, that would be another video. But in any event, this band, yeah, the channel is still about music, people, but every so often you go off on a tangent, and that's what I do. Really cool stuff. Support this band if you like this style of music. You know, buy their stuff. I bought the shirt, the hat, the CD. I bought it all. Well, not the hat, but you know what I'm saying. I bought a lot of stuff, and I'm, you know, a better person. I'm a better person for spending money that I shouldn't be spending, but I'm trying to support music that needs support. These streams on Spotify aren't cutting it, people. They're just not making enough money for a lot of these up and coming artists, and not everybody can be on, you know, America's Got Talent or The Voice or American Idol. Sometimes you have to just do it the old-fashioned way. Play gigs, write songs, and put out music. That's the way to do it, or it used to be the way to do it. Now maybe you can just get in a TikTok video. All right, people, I've gone way long on this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Patreon. If you'd like to have a pleasant conversation about this issue, you know, the war in Ukraine and what musicians are really doing to continue the war in Ukraine, because that's what this is all about, you can do so $1 a month over on Patreon. You can do more if you'd like to. I will accept higher denominations over there. Thanks again, and I will see you soon.